Good morning. Ako si Sir Dalisay, your teacher for the Media and Information Literacy. Now we're going to tackle about the introduction of media and information literacy. Now, for you, what is communication? Why do we communicate? Or how do we communicate? Now, first one, what is communication? Communication, the act or process of using words, sound, signs, or behavior to express or exchange information or to express your ideas, thoughts, feeling, etc. to someone else. Another meaning of communication is the exchange of information and the expression of feeling that can result in understanding. Now, the first one is how do we deliver? The process of how do we deliver informations, like do we deliver our message in what kind of manner? Or how do we express it? If we are talking, are we delivering it with a high tone or a low tone? How do you feel while you express your message? Another one is communication. It means an exchange of information. Now, how can we communicate if you are a sender and you do not have any receiver, right? We cannot communicate if whether there are no sender or no receiver, like that. Now, what are the two basic types of communication? The first one is non-verbal communication. It's the signs, symbols, color, gestures, body language, and facial expression. Number two is the verbal communication, oral and written. Now, non-verbal communication, it is all about your gestures, the forms of your communication. How do we use gestures? How do we use body language, like what I'm doing now? And the verbal communication is the type of communication when we use oral or we speak. Another one is when it is written. Now, to ease the topics, non-verbal communication talks about the gestures and informs on how you deliver the message. And the verbal communication is how you said or how you say the message. Next one, the process of communication. I know my students, last year we encountered it on our subject oral communication, right? Now, the transmissions of modules is who says what, in which channel, to whom, with what effect. Who is the communicator? Who is delivering the message? It is the sender. And the next one is, what did you say? Or basically it is the message, what you are delivering, what you are informing, or what you want to say to your sender. Next one is the medium. When we say medium, it is the media that you use. In what way? Did you deliver it through a cell phone, or did you deliver it through letter, or did you deliver it verbally? And another one is to whom? Basically, to the receiver of your message. And lastly, the effects of the message that the sender brought to the receiver. Now this one, we did I lectured it to you when we are studying oral communication when you are grade 11, right? Okay, another one is the reception model of Osgood Sham model of communication of 1954. Now, this is one of the process of communication. Now, it is the encoder sending the message to the decoder and or the receiver. The receiver decodes the message or the idea, the insights that the sender gave, and encoding back to the sender. The receiver will give feedback and to give another insight back to the sender, and in that way it will turn into a communication process. And this is one of the reception model of Berlow's model of communication of 1960s. Now, on our subject, our communication, why is communication a process? Now, come and think. Have a recap about the topics that we discussed. Why is communication a process? First of all, communication is a process because it is a cycle. The sender gives message to the receiver, and right away the receiver gives message to the sender. Now, another one, what are the important elements of the communication? Basically, we have three, but the three important elements of the communication is the sender, message, and receiver. But in other words, the elements of communication is the sender, the encoder, the message, the channel, the noise, and the receiver. Now, how can we achieve an effective communication with other people? What is your idea about that? First of all, we can have an effective communication if we have a receiver of the message. Another one, we can say that we have an effective communication if it has a process, give and take ideas, giving insights, and having also another insight from the receiver. Another one is that picture analysis. Now, we have 10 levels of intimacy in today's communication. Number 1, Twitter, Facebook status, Facebook message, email, text message, instructional materials, letters, phones, video chats, and topics. Now, this is somewhat the most similar ways of giving communication in our generation today. Now, stop. Take a look in this picture. Half of my problems are because of my the tone of my voice. Everyone thinks that I'm arguing while actually I'm just talking. Now, this is somewhat a type of communication, how you express your communication. Now, many of our Filipino kababayans, we are thinking that they are mad while we do not know that it is just their tone of voice. For example, you are a Batanggenyo. And all of the Batanggenyos, we know that they always have a high tone of voice. We sometimes misinterpret that they are mad or they want to fight or they are arguing, but instead they are just expressing what they want. And that is who they are. Because that is their culture, right? Now, this is a question. How is communication affected by the media and information? For you, how is communication affected by media and information? One thing is the communication tools. It is affected by using medias, internet, television, radios, magazine, and newspapers. We often see this in many platforms today, especially the social media networks. First one is the internet. We can say that we are communicating through this medium because we are adapting information about this. When we are Google, we receive information from the sender, right? Another one is the television. Now, the television is the most used platform of communication today. The program on the television is giving information, and we, the audience or the watcher of the television, is receiving the information. Another one is the radio, newspapers, magazine, and so on and so on. Another one is information, how media affects information. Like what I have said on our first meeting, media affects information because on the rapid use of social media today, we do not know if the information that we are talking is legitimate or has a reference or source which is right. Now, this is a formative assessment or recitation for you. First question is, how do you use Facebook as a tool or medium for communication? Are you doing it to communicate, to give information to others? It is for your self-assessment. Now, how did Facebook affect or change the way we communicate with other people? Are we changed in a good way, or are we changed in a wrong manner? Because as we discussed on our first subject, social media affects us in a way that it manifests our personality. How does social media affects us, especially using Facebook? Because we know that many ideas, many news, many issues, and many challenges affects what we are today. And we are adapting it, especially this time of pandemic wherein students just use Facebook. They're just scrolling and adopting informations and challenges which is not on the right manner or not in the right etiquette, right? Now, formative assessment again, or the citation. How did Facebook affect the quantity and quality of information available to people? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Now, if you are going to ask me, I will say they are both good thing and bad thing. Good thing because easily we can adopt news anytime, anywhere, any place. The bad thing is we do not know if the information given to you by the information given to you on Facebook is good, or it is right, or it is legitimate. Now, something to think about. The speed of communications is wondrous to behold. It is also true that speed can multiply the distribution of information that we know to be untrue. Now, this is a self-assessment about you and how will you interpret these quotations. Now, pause, comment to think about how it is connected on our topic for today, right? Now, like what I have said, lastly, terms to understand. It is the terminology that we need to understand when studying media information literacy. The first one is the media literacy. It is the ability to read, analyze, evaluate, and produce communication in a variety of media forms. Second one is the information literacy. The ability to recognize when information is needed and locate, evaluate, effectively use, and communicate information in its various formats. The last one is the technology or digital literacy. It is the ability to use digital technology, communication, tools, or network to locate, evaluate, use, or create information. Now, the first one is the first step of media literacy. You can read, can analyze, evaluate, and produce communication variety. For example, you are using Facebook, and you scroll down, you read news, and that is media literacy because you know how to use Facebook, and you are a media literate, right? Second one is one of the most important, information literacy. Are you just what do you call this? Adopting news? Are you just reading news without evaluating it? Are you just sharing news even if you did not have a research about it? And information literacy tackles about how can you analyze critically the information given to you by social media platforms. And lastly, the technology literacy. How do you use technology? If you know how to use this platform technology, you are a digital literate. Have you understood? Now this is another assessment. You can get a paper and pause the video and write it and answer this Venn diagram. Now this is for your self-assessment. What are the basic components of media and information literacy? What is media literacy, information literacy, and digital literacy? How are these literacies connected or related to each other? Like what I have said earlier, you can go back to our video and pause a little bit and analyze what I have said. Now, this is the definition that I gave you last Google Meet that we had. Media and information literacy includes information and communication literacy and digital literacy. It is defined as a set of competencies that empower citizens to access, retrieve, understand, evaluate, and use, create, as well as share information and media content in all formats, using various tools in a critical and ethical and effective way in order to participate and engage personal, professional, and societal activities. That's that. Another one, media and information literacy, refers to the essential competencies, the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that allow citizens to engage with media and other information providers effectively and develop critical thinking and lifelong learning skills for socializing and becoming active citizens or netizens. Now, the core subject description. The course introduces the learners to basic understanding of media and information as channel of communication and tools for the development of individuals and societies. It also aims to develop students to be creative and critical thinkers as well as responsible users and competent producer of media and information. As like what I said, how responsible are you? Are you using technologies in a good way or bad way? Are you using technologies in an ethical manner, or you just use it without knowing something, right? And that's that. Thank you for listening and good day, class.